Welcome back, y'all, and happy Wednesday morning to you. This is the Bluechip Breakdown, and I'm your host, Bull. On Monday, we took a look at Tennessee's defense versus Florida's offense. On Tuesday, we looked at Tennessee's offense versus Florida's defense. Today, we're going to be bringing everything together, and I'll be giving you my 7 keys to victory for our Volunteers and a game prediction. Y'all, please do us a very big favor and make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Later on tonight, Timmy G and I will be going live for our midweek chat, and we hope that everyone will be joining us. It'll probably be somewhere between 7 to 8 p.m. Keep a close eye out on the channel. We will let you know what time we're going to be going live for sure. And of course, this is a rivalry week, but every single week, all fan bases are welcome, and that would include Florida Gator fans. We're going to try to get to everybody's questions. We're very heavy in the chat with this one, but we hope that everyone will be able to join us. And without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the video. All right, now it's time for my 7 keys to victory for our Volunteers this weekend. Number one for me is just going to be to expand our quick game. And what I'm talking about right here is every time that y'all see one of those wide receiver screens, that's pretty much all we're doing in our quick game. We've got to do a whole lot more than that because, as y'all can tell, teams are starting to figure that out. And most of the time, whenever we are running that, it's coming off of a run-pass option where Nico can either hand the football off if he likes how the box looks, or if he doesn't, he's just going to throw it out there to the wide receiver on that quick screen. And we've got to expand it with some slants, with some quick outs, with some hitches, with some drags, some crossing routes. Let's just do more than that, just because it's not helping our offensive line out either, right? Like, y'all are seeing that they're not doing a great job of, blocking for Nico. And I think that we could do a much better job if our quick game gets better, if it's more 3-step drop, catch the ball, throw the ball, instead of trying to push the football down the field so much. It's either one of those wide receiver quick screens, or it's like a dig, or it's a post. It's something that is more like a 5 to 7 step drop. And it's just not working, man. Like, we got to do something a little bit more creative. And I think that just doing this by itself, if we would have done this last weekend, right, versus Arkansas, we win that game. You know what I'm saying? Like, we would have looked a lot more dominant. I think that the offense moves better. We can keep the tempo going a whole lot more. This is something that I'm really hoping that the staff is going to implement this week. I know that they understand that things aren't working right now, and there's a plethora of different issues, but this right here could fix most of the major issues that we have with our offense. Number 2 for me is going to be misdirection. And I mean, with our offense, we need to start running a whole lot more misdirection. If y'all tuned in for the Tuesday video when we're talking about Tennessee's offense versus Florida's defense, I said, I don't know if it's going to be a great idea for us to try to run straight at this Florida front, because they've got some dudes up front, several of them. It's going to be a lot more than we've seen this entire season. I know some of y'all are probably thinking, well, other teams have had a whole lot of success running the football on Florida. Yes, that's true, but they either were running the ball to the outside most of the time, or they were using misdirection. Really, both of those teams use misdirection versus Florida. Their linebackers bite on that a ton. So I would love to see us come out in this game, try to hit the edge early on, try to run off tackle early on, and then start to run some counters off of that. Because if we can have some success running around that edge, then Florida's linebackers, their entire defense, will start to kind of move over, or at least pause. If they pause, we can get more yards in the running game. We have to be able to establish our running game early. We already know that in this game, it's not just going to be, with that, but also I think read options is going to be huge. Florida has not done a great job with those read options. Again, it's just trying to make them pause, and it's just kind of having some different places that we can run the football to. We've got to open things up from that perspective. So I think really if we can hit on these 2 things, Tennessee's going to be able to get off to a good start, at least on offense. Now let's go on to number 3. This is going to be to make plays. And it sounds very obvious because it kind of is, but I'm talking primarily with Nico, as we just touched on. Read options, RPOs, all of that. That's going to put a whole lot of I wouldn't call it stress, but it's going to put a whole lot on Nico's shoulders to, kind of get things done. But he needs to use his legs in this game. It's not all going to just be on Nico. I know that the staff is trying to keep him from taking too many shots, too many hits, but he's kind of already taken them because we're not able to block, whenever he is dropping back to pass. So why not let him use his legs in a way where he can actually have some success? If we see that 3-3-5, or if it's a 3-2-6, hell, it could even be a 3-1-7 or whatever it is. One of those light boxes where it's just 5 people inside of the box. This is very simple mathematics. We have 5 offensive linemen who can all block for Nico. Plus we have 1 running back who should be inside of the backfield. So now we have 6 guys blocking 5 plus Nico who's running. If we have a tight end that's kind of bunched up as well, who can also help to block, now we've got great numbers, man. Run some quarterback power. It's worked well throughout the season. We saw a touchdown versus NC State. Nico is a fast player. We have to put a lot more stress on, defenses with his legs. Let's try to implement some of those things. But the whole point is Nico's going to have to make plays inside of our running game, but also I think in that passing game, he needs to be able to ID those fronts and make sure that everyone's picking up who they're supposed to be picking up. And we also need to have some hot routes. This is something that I didn't really talk about, with our quick game, but we can add that to it, right? We don't really have any hot routes. At least if we do, I haven't seen them. And it can't always just be a dump off to a wide receiver in the flats. If we want to go to the flats, and I hate to kind of go so far back to it, but just to kind of let you know, if we want to go to the flats with teams that are primarily playing cover 4, which just means that their secondary players are playing deep, then we can run guys off, run our wide receivers off, and then put a running back out there to the flats. That would make a whole lot more sense because now he's going to have plenty of room to operate. So there's just a lot of things that I feel like we can do with this offense that we just have not done. But Nico's going to have to make plays. He's going to have to understand what the defensive front is, make sure that everyone is able to pick up those blocks. We need some hot routes, be able to dump the football off, and then also understand what the coverage is that the defense is giving to you. If he can do that, he should be able to understand where his wide receivers are going, who's going to be open, look things off, get them even more open to, by shifting that defense, and then hit them quick, right? So Nico is going to have to play better. This entire team is going to have to play better. But it's not just about Nico. It's about our, running backs. They need to do a much better job of being able to win those one-on-one matchups. Most of the time, whenever we have those, or, whenever we see those ladder boxes, if it's a 3-3-5, we'll say the safeties are the ones that are making those tackles because they're coming downhill quickly, and we don't have enough people up front to block those guys coming from the third level. So if it's a one-on-one situation with our running backs and whoever, make somebody miss or, run through them, whatever you have to do something, but make some plays. Also, running backs have to do a much better job in pass pro coming up this weekend and for the rest of this season because it has not been great. Now, tight ends and wide receivers, again, just talking about offense, those guys are going to have to make some tough catches every now and then for us. We missed them last week, okay? Help Nico out. The passes will not be perfect. You got to make some plays, and after you make the catch, if you have any room at all, make somebody miss. Go get some yak yards. We're probably going to be short brew. I'm not claiming that, but we just don't know. So maybe we're going to be short brew. Maybe, we won't have squirrel, but we have plenty other, wide receivers that can go out and can make plays. Our wide receiver room is still very deep. So guys are going to have to step up and make some big time plays for this team. Now, number 4 for me is going to be talking about defense, and it's about eye discipline. I'm specifically talking about our linebackers. Last weekend versus Arkansas, their eyes took them all over the place, and Arkansas found a lot of success with all the misdirection stuff that they like to do, whether they're running the football or if they're passing. Our linebackers just missed on a whole lot of stuff, but it's not just them. Obviously, safeties, everybody on defense, your eyes have got to be right because all the plays that Arkansas hit big on us last weekend, that's pretty much all that Florida does. So this game could turn into a nightmare if our eyes aren't right. And really all that stuff is going to start with them watching film and understanding tendencies. And I know this weekend, they're going to be very, very heavy in that film room. And we should look a lot better moving forward. Now, number 5 is tight zone. I'm talking about our entire secondary, but mostly with those linebackers. Didn't look great last weekend versus Arkansas. We're out there covering grass. We can't do that versus Florida because they do a whole lot of 3-step drop. Their wide receivers, tight ends, running backs, everybody, they do a really nice job of just kind of sitting their routes down in the soft spot within the zone defenses that Tennessee or whoever is going to be playing. So instead of just kind of covering that area, find a person inside of that area to kind of latch onto. Now, if we can do this, then Tennessee's pass rush can maybe kind of get to whoever the quarterback is for Florida on some of those 3-step drops. And once Tennessee can start to get home on some 3-step drops, then all of a sudden, man, this game could get broken wide open. But again, man, a whole lot of stress in this game on our linebackers and on our safeties. We have got to be a lot tighter in our zone coverage because we won't be able to play too much man, because most of what Florida likes to do is like man beaters, a whole lot of crossing routes, rub routes, double moves, things like that. So zone would actually work better. So hopefully, again, y'all, the coverage will be tight. Number 6 for me, this is another very obvious one, just tackle, okay? Our guys have got to come up and tackle. We saw what happened last season versus Florida. They break a couple of tackles, have some big plays, and it just felt like it broke our backs, right? Like the game just broke wide open. We cannot have that in a game where we know that Florida is going to throw the underneath stuff. Their quarterbacks, well, really more so Graham Mertz, he wants to check the football down. He does not want to throw interceptions. Okay, he wants to keep his accuracy rate as high as possible. But anyone who actually watches him understands that obviously he's not going to be as accurate down the field, but it falls off a lot. He's not that good of a quarterback if you play that tight coverage. And also, again, man, just come up and tackle whenever he is checking the football down. That's what he's going to do probably 85% of the time. Okay. And I'm talking primarily to our secondary pieces. They're going to have to do a really, really nice job with that. Now, key number 7 is going to be to take their souls. What I mean by this is, Florida came into this season. People were saying, we don't know if they're even going to win 6 games. Can they make it to one of these lesser tiered bowls? And now I think that they're off to a pretty solid start. Yeah, they have lost 2 games, but that was versus 2 top 10 teams. And now they're on a 2-game winning streak. They're playing for their coach's job. He's coaching for his job. The entire staff, they're all coaching for their jobs, going up against, one of their biggest rivals. They want to win this ball game, okay? Tennessee's trying to make it to the playoffs. We have several guys that are 5th, 6th, and 7th year seniors that came back to win a championship, that came back to get their draft stock up. So they're taking things very seriously. If Tennessee comes out and loses this game, especially at home, again to a rival, then, man, really, playoffs is probably out of the picture. So it's going to be very important for both teams. But what Tennessee needs to do is take away Florida's confidence very early in this game. And we could do that with the big hit, with the big stop, with the turnover. It doesn't matter, right? Like, we could do it several different ways, but we're going to have to do it and do it early and often, just over and over and over again until we make Florida quit. I think that the best way to do that is by just physically manhandling these guys, but they've got some really good players. So I don't know how realistic that will be. But if nothing else, man, make them hate to come up and, tackle you or block you or any of that type of stuff. Make them hate being physical with you on every single play. I think that if Tennessee does that, I've seen it with this Florida team. They will pack it in, and they're talented enough that if they're playing with confidence, they are a real problem. But anybody who's not playing with confidence, now all of a sudden we should just be able to dictate how this game goes. So those are my 7 keys to victory for our Volunteers. And I think that we will be capable to step up to this challenge. I think that this team just has a really bad taste in their mouth, and we'll see what happens coming up this weekend. As long as we come out, and execute, play focused, play our brand of Tennessee football, I think that we will find some success in this one. All right, now let me give y'all my game prediction. We'll be starting off with Florida's offense versus Tennessee's defense. I have a whole lot of confidence with this side of the ball. Florida likes to do a whole lot of pre-snap motion, a whole lot of pre-snap movement. Their entire offense is just predicated off of misdirection stuff, just trying to get people to the wrong spots, just trying to get your eyes wrong, things like that. I know that Tennessee's defense is going to be laser focused after that loss to Arkansas, so we should be ready for that. There's a whole lot of tendencies that you can kind of pick up with Florida's offense. Outside of that, whenever you talk about their offensive line, I think that they're solid. If you're talking about their run game, not going to be maulers, right? They're going to do a whole lot of zone blocking. They're more about walling people off. We'll see a ton of read option, RPO stuff. Their running back is not some game breaker. He's, pretty solid. I would say he's an average SEC running back. Physically, we're not going to have any trouble stopping what Florida likes to do from all of those perspectives. Now, they do have some very good wide receivers. Could they pose some problems in some one-on-one coverage? Sure, they could, especially because they run some really nice, route combinations, whole lot of double moves. We'll see, again, with their passing game, it's going to be a whole lot of 3-step drop, just quick game stuff, drags, crossing routes, pick routes, things like that. Their quarterbacks, well, really more so Graham Mertz, he's captain checkdown. He don't want to throw the football down the field, especially if there's any semblance of some coverage down there. He wants to throw it to those checkdowns. So as we had touched on, man, we have to be very disciplined, in our zone coverage. That's got to be tight. I think that we will play more cover 2 than we've played this entire season. That should shut down what Florida likes to do, but we will also kind of put some man in there. We'll bring some blitzes in some opportunistic situations. I think that we will also run cover 3, especially if we think that Florida's going to try to push the football down the field. With that, we'll probably bring, maybe 1 or 2 guys. Okay, you want to bring some extra pressure. But really, man, I think that our guys, just as far as our secondary pieces, they should be able to hold up versus Florida's wide receivers. We just have to try to get some pressure, only bringing 4, you know what I'm saying? Or again, we just got to be very opportunistic with our blitzes. I'm not too concerned about what our defense is going to do. Get off the field on 3rd downs. We should be fine. But man, Florida's going to try to dink and dunk us all the way down the field. Now, they will bring in Lagway some. A little bit of a different ball game there because he will throw the football down the field. So, the entire look could be different, with both of these quarterbacks. We just hope that everyone understands who's in, understands what their keys are, and, that we're just executing. So, again, man, I feel great about what our defense can do, what our defense will do this weekend. Not too concerned right there. I am a little bit concerned though about our offense versus Florida's defense. So we're gonna start off with Tennessee's front versus Florida's front. Okay. Number one, I don't know who the starting five is going to be, but we cannot afford to play people who aren't going to be able to give us 100% effort. That's first and foremost. So give me the guys that want to come out and that want to prove a point, that want to beat one of our hated rivals. Give me those guys that are going to play with that edge, with that chippiness, all of that we need to set the tone with our offense first and foremost. If we have five guys, okay, up front that are going to play like that, then we should be just fine. I also think that we'll see a little bit more 12 personnel. We can utilize that, in our running game for sure, but also to help us whenever we're trying to pass the football down the field. So just, we just need to make sure that we can block Florida's front. They've got some guys that can most definitely wreck this game. As we've touched on, for the past couple of days now, we have to make sure that if we are going to try to run the football right at them, that we've got some sort of a wrinkle off of that. We need to be able to hit those edges too. We can't just run the football right at Florida all game long. I think that the misdirection, the, read options, RPOs, things like that, just to get their second and third level players pausing, that's going to be big for us. Now, I do believe that Florida is going to give us some sort of a three-man front look because everyone that's done it so far this season has had a whole lot of success. So we're going to have to find ways to beat that. Hopefully we have figured it out. I gave y'all a couple of ways that I felt like Tennessee's offense could find success versus that. We'll see what Coach Heupel and Coach Halsley have dialed up, but they better have something because you cannot come out 3 weekends, or not necessarily in a row, but 3 games in a row, and, we can't, find any success offensively versus these three-man fronts. So I'm hoping and praying, and I'm actually, a little bit excited and anxious to see what Coach Heupel wants to do. Outside of that, man, Tennessee has got to be able to, work that quick game in like we just talked about, whether that's with the RPOs, things like that. I think that it's going to look a lot different this weekend. It can't be the same old, same old. Start to throw it down the field. Don't be surprised if we have some sort of an RPO that works a tight end up a seam or something, right? Like that's a pretty easy way just to get some more vertical threats going. I'm going to also tell you this. I would love to see Tennessee's offense take a lot more deep shots. Dante Thornton has proven that he is capable. Okay, he's shown that he can step up whenever we need him the most. But also Chris Brazzell. That's 2 guys that are 6'5", 4'4", 40s. Why are we not using them vertically? Even if we don't hit them, just throw the ball to them deep and, loosen up that Florida coverage just a little bit more. And then everything else underneath, like we're talking about with the quick game, that all opens up. Again, man, Bruce probably not going to be going, or at least we don't know if he will be. Squirrel, we don't know if he's going to be going either. Guys have got to step up. I want to see a whole lot more of Mike Matthews. I want to see more Chaz Nimrod, who will probably be getting a start at slot. So that gives us some more size on the outside, which is, that's never a bad thing. He's also, very, very fast. Caleb Webb, all those guys, man. Braylon Staley, Nathan Leacock. Like we still have so many threats that we just have not used. So I think that Tennessee will do a good job of just trying to mix some things up. It should look a whole lot different on offense. I'm kind of, banking on that, right? I'm banking that we look a whole lot different, and I really feel like Nico's going to come out and just ball. We've heard from some of the players that he didn't take that loss too well. So, we'll see who Nico really is based off of what he does in this game. That's not going to tell the total tale, but it will kind of give us some sort of an idea of, hey, is this guy who we think he is? If he comes out, if he has a really good game, at least if you see him, trying to make those plays, playing with that maximum effort, not to say that he, ever did not do that, but y'all understand where I'm going with this, right? We just need for Nico to be the Nico that, we've kind of seen glimpses of. We need for him to have his coming out party this weekend at home versus Florida. And I mean, really, if we could get, I'd say about, 45% of everything that I've named off in this video, Tennessee should definitely win this game. I mean, yeah, Florida is probably the most talented team that we faced this whole season, but Tennessee is still the more talented team, okay, especially team. It's not just about the talent, individual talent. Whenever you're talking about a team, I think that Tennessee is still the better team. We have to go out there. We have to show it, man. If this offense kind of starts to get that ball rolling in this one, it could, maybe get a little bit out of hand. I feel like Tennessee will win this game by multiple scores. I think that our defense will be able to limit how much Florida scores, like they've limited how much everyone scores all season. It's only so much you can do versus this defense, but we need for the offense to give us a little something, something. And I think that this is the game that they do it, man. Heupel, Halsley, those guys love to win. They're going to have something different planned for this one. So I am, again, expecting for Tennessee to win this one by multiple scores. I will not give a final score prediction until Saturday morning on the pregame show. We hope that y'all will join us for that. And we also hope that you'll be joining us tonight for the midweek chat with Timmy G and I. You know, we hope to see everyone there. But thank y'all for sticking all the way to the end. Please let us know your thoughts down in the comment section. And as always, please make sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, share with your friends, family, and other volunteer fans. We'll see y'all later on tonight. Thanks. Peace.